ನಾನು ಇದು ಯಾಕೆ ನಡೆದಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ. ರೌಡಿ ಶೀಟರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ನಾನು ನೋಡಬೇಕು ಅದನ್ನು. ಇನ್ನು ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಕೂಡಲೇ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ನೋಡಬೇಕು.
Whatever steps that we need to take to see that people who are behind this, they should be arrested, they should be apprehended, they should face the force of law.
Hindus are not feeling safe in Karnataka under Siddaramaiah's tenure.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mangaluru is on the edge tonight after you have a shocking and a brazen murder that has been caught in broad daylight. His name was Suhas Shetty. He's a 30-year-old right-wing activist. I want to bring up certain images as we have this conversation and tell you more about what's happened. And if you just look at this particular image right now on your screens, where we've tried to look at different aspects of these attackers, they're already numbered as 1, 2, 3, 4. Agencies tell us that there could be anywhere between 4 to 6 people involved in this attack. Brazen, dastardly, and without the fear of the law. But I want to tell you a little bit more as we stay with these images that you see on your screens. The man called Suhas Shetty was a 30-year-old right-wing activist and the prime accused in another case. Now, that is a 2022 hate crime killing of Mohammed Fazil. And he was brutally hacked to death by a group of men in a bustling area. The time, in fact, of that CCTV footage that just played out was close to about 8:30 p.m., not even very late. So you will see a lot of people around there. And clearly no one wants to come out and help, but that is one part of the story. But the other part of the story is the brazenness, the audacity of these attackers. The horrific attack is captured on camera. And this, as expected, has sent shockwaves throughout the coastal district, in particular, throughout the entire state of Karnataka, reigniting fears of a communal unrest. We've seen a lot of heavy police bandobast throughout the day in particularly those areas, and those are images up on your screens, with Karnataka's top cop also closely monitoring the entire situation. The BJP's leadership has issued some very, very strong condemnations. The VHP has called for a band, and this chilling murder, remember, follows another recent tragedy that we are talking about. I want to tell you more about Ashraf, and those are graphics now that I want to bring up on our screens to tell you more of why this is not an isolated case. Now, right now, you have more details. So why is Mangaluru tense? And if you look at the timeline, May the 1st is when Suhas is murdered. He is murdered, but he's also an accused in another case. And as all this is happening, just few days ago, there was another murder from the state of Karnataka, and that was of Ashraf. And I want to bring out more details also of that man called Ashraf before we open this up and get you the latest as far as the investigation is concerned. In fact, we will play out these graphics in just a moment. And I want to tell you about the lynching of Ashraf, a mentally ill man from Kerala. But like on your screens, you're looking at the entire timeline now of a lot more such incidents that have been captured, and why this is a web of murders that has now shocked the state of Karnataka, and why there are questions of law and order being raised. I want to see if we can put out these graphics that you see right now on your screens on the big wall, and that's going to be Newsnight's Deep Dive. So let's play out what you were just looking at, because it's important you look at the enormity of the entire incident and the timeline. Now, this man, Suhas Shetty, is no more. He's been killed in the Mangaluru attack that happened on Thursday night. That is the first. But let's get you the backstory. Why is this the beginning of a lot more concern? Now, he was a pro-Hindu worker accused in another case of Fazil, who was also murdered. So he was one of the prime accused in that case. Let's quickly move that out to more details that will continue to flash on your screens. He was earlier released on bail in 2024. And this is the checkered past that a lot of people today from the state of Karnataka are talking about. But if you look at this particular image on your screens, a lot of you might recall this. His name was Praveen Netaru. He was a BJP worker. On the 26th of July, 2022, he is murdered. And when this murder takes place, there are again a lot of people that were picked up for questioning. And this man, Mohammed Fazil, was one of them. On the 28th of July, he was killed. And the charge was that this is a revenge killing. But then on 27th of April 2025, A man, in fact, named Ashraf that you see on your screens, he was lynched over some pro-park slogans. So you have seen a series of these incidents that do raise questions of law and order, and that is the reason why when you see all these details coming in together, the BJP says that Siddaramaiah is losing his grip. But what is the truth and what is the investigation leading towards so far? Let's open this up. We've seen a huge BJP versus Congress fight, and I want to introduce first up our guest before we get on our straight questions again on that big story. We'll just take a moment to get them on our screens, and I'll say good evening to Brijesh Kalappa, who's representing the Congress on the panel. Also, Sanjay Sahaji is a former ADGP of Karnataka, and I'm told that he has a very strong opinion on the entire issue. Vijay Prasad is representing the BJP on the show, and Ashutosh Srivastava is an advocate of the Supreme Court. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. Let's bring up our straight questions so that our viewers know what exactly our focus is and what we are talking about on the show. The first straight question that's going to be up on your screens, and that reads, was this a targeted killing or this was an isolated case? Again, pending an investigation, we can't say much. Let's bring up our second straight question as we are looking at all developments on the story so far. Can the murder be justified even if he's a known criminal? Because I've heard a lot of people today saying that, listen, he was a rowdy sheeter, he had so many cases. But even then, does a broad daylight murder like this, can that be justified? The third straight question now on your screens, and then we'll play out the entire CCTV footage once more. Is Siddaramaiah losing control? String of such incidents, a lot of other issues that Siddaramaiah is dealing with. Is he now not in charge of what's going on in his own state? What about the BJP? Is the BJP now also exploiting this for their political gains? They sense an opportunity, so let's play politics. We'll ask the BJP that question also in just a moment. This brings us to our final straight question that's on your screens. Are rising communal tensions a growing concern? There should be a concern for everyone. Who's responsible? Who's accountable? We'll begin by taking our first response from Brijesh Kalappa on all those questions, and I want to request our team to put out those CCTV footage right now, which is on the screen. Brijesh, when you look at this, is there no fear of law in Karnataka?
See, I think that's not the right question to ask, because Karnataka is indeed a peaceful state, and the BJP has consistently tried to project as if the state is, completely gone to dogs. This they did during the D.K. Ravi episode. They also did during the Ganapati episode. And this is typical of the BJP because whenever there is a dead body lying somewhere, the BJP only can think of politics. And this has been typical of their political stances in Karnataka from time to time. And we also know that as far as the D.K. Ravi episode, which the CBI came to be involved with Ganapati, which also the CBI came to be involved with, the state government has not been targeted at all. The report has completely, cleared the state government, or rather, even then, the Siddaramaiah was there as chief minister, of any misdoing or wrongdoing. The same thing happened during the Saujanya episode. And again, during Praveen Nettaru's death. Praveen Nettaru, as you know, died during when the BJP was in power. So why do they now say that the Hindus are not safe during Siddaramaiah's time? Why don't they ask themselves the question? Don't they have mirrors in their home to look at their own faces and ask themselves the question, the way if the Hindus were unsafe when Praveen Nettaru's body was found lying? So I think this is a question which the BJP must ask itself.
Okay.
And rather than making, wild allegations, and more importantly, I think the morale of the police ought not to be a casualty in a political war. The Karnataka police has an outstanding reputation, and each and every time the BJP is trying to project the Karnataka police as being, a failed police force. And this happened whether in the case of D.K. Ravi, it happened in the case of Ganapati. It's consistently happening. Okay. And I think the police of Karnataka, which is doing an outstanding job, should not be maligned.
Okay,
Let the
Brijesh,
BJP do its politics,
you've put out a
but
political
not at the
response.
cost of the reputation of the police.
Yes, Brijesh, you've put out a political response. It's only fair I let Vijay come in. But I want to take just 10 seconds of your time, Brijesh, to ask one more important question. Because ever since I've heard the comments that have come in from different leaders, who represent the Congress in the state of Karnataka, a lot of them first tell us, listen, he was a rowdy sheeter. He had so many cases against him. Does that justify this broad daylight hacking of a man, of any man in your state? Does that justify it?
No, I'll straight away tell you, whether he was a rowdy sheeter, whether he was the worst criminal in the world, whether he was even worse than Osama bin Laden, he does not deserve a death like this. Let me be very clear, nobody, other than after following due process, if the court were to give him the death sentence, yes. But nobody has the right to take another's life, and anybody who has taken his life has to pay the price for it.
Okay, you've made the reference of Osama bin Laden. I do not know whether that's again a pointed retort at the BJP or not, but I'll let Vijay take the floor. Vijay, are you plain politics? Because Brijesh says that let the investigation take place and this could happen anywhere. Has this not happened when the BJP was also ruling the state of Karnataka? So are you guilty?
Very good evening, Dipti. Again, one more lip service from Congress and Congress spokesperson. See, tonight we raise a burning question that echoes through the streets of Karnataka and beyond. Are Hindu activists being silenced in a targeted pattern while the state remains a silent spectator? In a democracy that promises freedom of speech and belief, why are those speaking for the majority being hunted? Is this political apathy, selective outrage, or
how do you say that this is about Hindus? I must ask you this because, you know, we are bordering very close to making this just a communal issue now.
No. See, what I'm trying to say here, put forth is here, is this a political apathy, selective outrage, or a dangerous tilt in the state priorities? The nation demands to know, is justice being denied because the victim belongs to a certain ideology? See, tonight, again, we want to confront a chilling truth that Karnataka cannot ignore anymore. See, the targeted killings of Hindu activists, the erosion of public safety, and government that seems to be more interested in optics than justice. In the last 2 years, we have seen activists being murdered, law and order being crumbled, and communal tensions are simmering. Yet the ruling establishment, in this case, the Karnataka Congress government, remain mute, numb, and disturbingly indifferent. I want to ask if Brijesh Kalappa, is this governance to surrender or surrendering to the chaos or the jihadi element? See, is the government deliberately silent because the victim did not fit their Congress's narrative? And most importantly, Deepthi, is Karnataka on the verge of becoming a state where ideology determines whether or not...
Vijay, I think you must also be very cautious of not making the same mistake that Brijesh, you know, you're alleging Brijesh and his party of doing it. You know, is this really not just about law and order? I know that Brijesh wants to come in. So before I get in both Sanjay Sahai and Ashutosh into this, Brijesh, take another 10 seconds to respond to what you've just heard from the BJP.
No, I'm really appalled. I wish the BJP spokesperson came with a little more preparation. Because he just came, he had prepared some speech.
No, Vijay, let him complete. Vijay, let him complete, please. Then you can counter him one by one, please.
You see what? See, you try to say...
Vijay, please pull back. Let him complete. Let him complete, Vijay. I'm requesting you.
In the state where you are ruling.
Vijay, not the time to play politics. Not the time to provoke, please. Let's listen into what Brijesh has to say, then you can counter him. Go on, please.
See, I've been on television now, Deepthi, for over 10 years. And this is a humble request to the BJP spokesperson. Please come prepared. Please listen to what the Congress is saying. Then respond. Don't come with a prefix speech and then make it straight away. This is not a political rally. This is a television debate. People want to know what your point of view is.
Okay, gentlemen, why are we making this personal? I mean, there are hard questions. These are hard questions, Vijay and Brijesh, that need to be answered. Unless you don't want to answer it, please don't get into these personal tirades. Brijesh. Complete your point.
No, I was only saying that not a single thing he said had any response to what I had said. Not a single thing. So I wish there was something he said, because I spoke about Praveen Netaru. Praveen Netaru's death took place during a BJP regime. How is he now saying that the Congress alone is responsible for, Hindu activist workers? Was Praveen Netaru not a Hindu activist? So these are questions which I think the BJP must ask itself. and not just come with prefix speeches and say, okay, doesn't matter what the Congress says, doesn't matter what the anchor says, I am going to say this and be done with it. This is not the way
These killings are happening under your own government nose, Brijesh.
Okay.
It is not happening
you know,
in the
this
state.
Brijesh versus Vijay can continue, but I want to get in both Sanjay and Ashutosh here. Sanjay ji, because you do understand how the police works, you do understand these political compulsions that you've heard from both the sides, the BJP and the Congress and the Shosa. Tell me something. A case like this, a CCTV footage like the one that we have seen, does that not raise questions on law and order? Period.
Yeah, so it raises questions on law and order to the extent that it has happened in broadly what you call as a broad daylight, and when the police presence supposedly needed to be there. What I would like to put on record is if the response of the police had been on time, or if it was on time and they were able to avert the situation based on the technical evidence or CCTV, what was available there, it would have been a different situation. To save face, at least at the present moment, the additional DG who is camping there, they say that they have already identified the victims and they are on a hot chase to get the victim. I will try to make one piece of information to the August audience is that the coastal Karnataka has been on communal tinderbox for, I think, decades together. I was the ASP there in 1992 when we had the post-Babri Masjid incident. So broadly carrying on from there, now you are talking about Praveen Netaru. I'll take you a little further in past. And from 2015, I can give you a number of incidents with murder of gangster Madhur Yusuf. Then 2016, we had Ashraf Kalyani, Sharath Madiwala. 2018, we had Deepak Rao, Abdul Bashir. And between 2020 and 2021, there are a large number of communal cases. So this politicization of crime, I think it is the worst thing which is happening in this country. And everywhere it is just a selective outrage. So as far as the rigmarole battle with communal overtones is to be understood, I think this particular district has had this. Unfortunately, the police and the government, successive governments have not been able to put that amount of focus so as to control this. When it comes to one particular situation or any murder of this nature or communal clashes, at that particular point in time, there is certainly swiftness. The case is registered, the accused are arrested, and then because of inordinate time taken for investigation, I think it gets into a totally different loop. With regards to somebody coming out on bail, and Suhas was on bail, and that particular point in time, police certainly needed to be much more vigilant, and this sort of a lapse is generally not accepted.
Absolutely, so and heads need to roll. Heads need to roll, and we want to know what is the status of these people, because if you just look at the CCTV footage, it is chilling, it is disturbing, Brijesh, at the same point. And whether you accept this or not, you know, today it's from Karnataka, even if it's from Maharashtra, it's Rajasthan, Gujarat, we will hold the same, you know, questions out. We will ask the state government questions of accountability. But Ashutosh, as we'll also put out more details of the timeline, because the sense one gets when you listen into different responsible individuals from the state of Karnataka is that there is a timeline. A lot of these are retaliatory killings. Ashutosh, because you're also an advocate, legally speaking, how is the case looking like to you? Who's obfuscating from their duty?
See, definitely, it's a very serious law and order situation there, and this is a very serious concern. And now, when you say that he had many other criminal antecedents or whatever, but that cannot be a reason for the death of anybody. So nothing. He was an accused, and he was facing the trial, so he was not convicted also at the same time. So obviously, I think if the state police has failed or it is not able to do the further investigation and to catch all those offenders who are responsible for whatever has happened, then in that case, even under Section 6 of the Delhi Special Police Act, it can be transferred to CBI by the consent of the state, and the centralized agencies can do the investigation in further details and find out the reason of such a heinous crime which has taken place in the broad light in the city. So this is a very serious issue, and I think it will be referred to the courts also. Maybe it will be referred to the High Court or maybe to the Supreme Court to take cognizance and to have the judicial investigation in the matter if nothing is coming out with the state police. So
Okay.
I think state police will have a lot of responsibilities at the moment to find out the truth and to take immediate actions against the offenders who have done this kind of heinous crime, that too in front of the CCTV. Otherwise, it will create a lot of loss in the eyes of the people and can also question the trust of the people in the government.
That is true.
Considering the law and order situation.
Yes, Ashutosh, you and Sanjay ji make a lot of important points when it comes to policing, law and order. Brijesh, will you concede that the policing perhaps there needs an overhaul? It can't just be a political response to what you've heard from the BJP or anyone else so far. Someone needs to be accountable for what's going on. And can you tell me how many people have been nabbed so far in the case?
No, I'm not aware. I'm not a police officer. But I can tell you, as far as this case is concerned, this is certainly a war between the Hindutva forces and the PFI. And as you know, the PFI has been banned. Who banned the PFI? It's the central government.
No, you're saying this is a war between the Hindutva forces and the PFI. Is that the official Congress response, Brijesh?
No, it seems so, because Praveen Nettaru's murder leads to Fazil's murder. Then Fazil's murder leads to this murder. So I think, logically speaking, it must be so. It seems so, whether it's the official Congress response or not.
But Brijesh, is it fair to sit and make a television like this, a comment like this in a television studio without perhaps, investigating it? I think that is where the government possibly is jumping the gun. Vijay, quickly,
I'm not the government. I'm not the government.
As in the Congress, you're representing the Congress in Karnataka, yes.
I will take 10 seconds.
From my knowledge,
No, there has been a lot of conversation, and we must tell our viewers, Vijay, briefly, that there has been a lot of conversation about the PFI, the role of the PFI in previous murders also. What happened? Vijay?
No. Here, Deepti, I would take only exactly 10 seconds. I want to make some important statistics here. The crime statistics don't lie. Hindu activists are being murdered with alarming regularity. Not isolated incidents, but a clear trend. And what is the government doing? Instead of tightening the law and order, they are withdrawn. Okay, now here the crux. Let us come to the statistics portion here. This is the statement signed by the inefficient, fit for nothing, useless Home Minister of Karnataka, Dr. G. Parameshwar. He has clearly said on the floor of the House that 2,897 rowdy sheeters case has been opened since they came back to power in 2023.
So what is your charge, Vijay? What is the charge?
And at the same time, he again makes one more statement on the floor of the House, which leads to this kind of incident. 6,622.
No, you're saying that the State Home Minister made a point that has instigated this? Is that the charge now you are leveling?
Exactly. See, this is what I'm coming. I will take another 5 seconds. This is exactly the reason. 6,622 rowdy sheeters has been released. And these rowdy sheeters are freely roaming in the streets of Karnataka. And this is the inefficiency of the government that has led to this kind of initiative. And at the same time,
Vijay, I think you must also be equally responsible when you make such a grave charge.
See, police stations, Dipti, police stations have become a Congress party office. Police stations, once a bastion of law.
Now, come on, I don't know why we say this, Vijay. I will just let Brijesh respond in 5 seconds to that charge. Limited time, but I have to get Brijesh to counter that. Brijesh.
See, frankly, Deepti, I don't think the BJP spokesperson would have used such harsh language against any Home Minister of Karnataka. We didn't say the same thing.
I have to use it today, Brijesh.
Please. You must listen to his response, please. I'm requesting you, Vijay.
Everything is happening. And he goes on to
Vijay, you've raised a serious charge. It's only fair that Brijesh responds to it. Please pull back. Vijay, please pull back. Vijay, I'm requesting you, please pull back. Please listen into what Brijesh has to say. Yes, Brijesh.
I don't think any person would have used such harsh language, but for the fact that Mr. G. Parameshwar, a very learned person, is a Dalit. Right? And this is
please don't bring in the caste angle here. Brijesh, this is the last platform for it to bring in.
Imagine the story is about law and order, and the story has travelled to religion. The story has now travelled to the caste
don't bring in the religion here.
It's unfair. It's unfair, both Vijay and Brijesh. I'm running out of time, but I still want to give the last 5 seconds to Sanjay Saiji before we close this conversation. Sanjay ji, when you listen to all these alibis from, politicians, what is it that you want to tell them?
That political policing has become our fate and destiny. Unfortunately, we have been put on a board wherein we talk about crimes related to the government or the opposition party. Crime should be totally unrelated, and it is unrelated. It is the camouflage and the smoke screen which we create. That is vitiating the whole atmosphere. Coastal Karnataka, Dakshin Kannada, I know for last 33, 34 years, has been a communal tinderbox even much before I went there as a assistant superintendent of police. And all throughout, the governments have not been in a position to break this sort of a class environment or a communal environment and bring in peace to the particular area. See, what is important today for the political class to sit down with those cases, and I have enumerated large number of cases, whether the cases have reached their logical conclusion, whether it's convicted, not convicted, what is the nature of bail, whether is oversight involved, what is the nature of...
Okay, but Sanjay ji, all the more reason, I think, for governments and perhaps for opposition parties, wherever they are, to be equally responsible and mature before they make such comments. I'm thanking Brijesh, Sanjay ji, Vijay and Ashutosh for their time as we'll continue to track that story and the investigation. Let's quickly also get you Newsnight's parting shot. So as Mangaluru, ladies and gentlemen, is grappling with the brutal murder of the Hindu activist Suhas Shetty, the BJP has seized the moment. They are amplifying this entire tragedy to score political brownie points against a beleaguered Siddaramaiah government. With dissent brewing within the Congress's own camp, the Siddaramaiah DKS rift that continues, to simmer. And remember the alleged corruption allegations also swirling the Karnataka stands at a volatile crossroads right now. Now, the BJP clearly is waiting in the wings as a political party ready to strike. But what is important is that there is justice. And prevent, not politicize, is all that we will say as we will wrap things in this edition of the news with a promise that we'll see you again on Monday. Good night.